Welcome to the Double A Sports Podcast, minor league feel with major league discussion. Here are your hosts, Alan and Alan.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to episode 10 of the Double A Sports Podcast. We are your hosts, Alan and Alan.
Hey, guys.
So if you are watching on YouTube, you see a little different setup now with the new table we talked about last week. We got a little background, little figures, throwing a little thing together. But pretty much we went unscripted with this episode.
Yeah, we weren't planning on having an episode, but with all the things that are happening throughout the world, we just had to come up with an emergency one and let you guys know what's going on.
Yeah, so if you don't know, you're living under a rock, but pretty much all sports are on hiatus in America for the foreseeable future. MLB is putting off for 2 weeks, but
the MLB canceled the remainder of spring training games. The regular season is going to get pushed back at least 2 weeks. Sometime in April, they might reassess. But with the coronavirus going around, all major sports have been shut down. Any big events, any music festivals, UFC, golf, NHL, NBA, everything. It's been shut down.
Yeah, everyday life is just changing here in America for our eyes.
Yeah, it all started earlier this week sometime with the Jazz player, Rudy Gobert, I think.
Yeah.
He came out, tested positive for the coronavirus, and his teammate Mitchell also tested positive. And then they just canceled the other games that night that were supposed to take place as well.
Yeah, there was one other game that a referee that referee the game with the Jazz, they didn't want to.
The other team refused to come out there and play.
Yeah, so NBA that night decided just to put everything on hold, and then NHL did the next day, and so did MLB and everyone else.
Yeah, and when the NBA announced it, they were still showing shots at the Mavericks game, and Cuban saw it on his phone and had this shocked face, and even went to go tell the refs what was going on.
Yeah,
it's a crazy deal going on right now.
It is. Slowly when first earlier in the day they announced the basketball conference tournaments were going to be without fans.
Yeah, the Ivy League started canceling games.
It was just a trickle effect, and then finally when it happened, it was like, look, a player, this is it.
Right,
it's time.
Right. Yeah. So first, like you said, they were going to play games with no fans. The CBI tournament was canceled, but after the NBA and MLB shut down, I knew it was a matter of time before March Madness was going to get canceled as well.
Yeah. So ultimately, it's kind of crazy. Us being sports fans, there's nothing going on in the world.
Right. I mean, throughout the regular year, I believe there's only a couple days, maybe 3 days throughout the entire year where there's no sports.
Yeah.
Well, we're on day 3 right now of no sports, and it's getting crazy.
Yeah. What is out there? People are going insane. And the worst thing about it, you start thinking about is, of course, the workers at the arenas and stuff. And, of course, players like Zion and a lot of your bigger players are putting up money to help pay for 30 days of these arena workers, which is great. And then you got to think about the other people. My job is affected dramatically being at the oceanfront, being in the hotel business. Think about the hotels around the arenas that expect people traveling to watch these players.
Yeah, especially since we're getting close to spring, summertime. There's always events. We live in a beach town, and we have a lot of tourists every year. And if everybody's canceling their plans, that takes a hit on the community.
Yeah.
Especially like you said, all the big festivals. We had Something in the Water festival here at the beach that is the second year they're doing it. Pharrell's hosting it, and it's a huge event. They're postponing it to next year, and everybody's losing money, and people are mad and upset about the whole situation. I did hear that. I think it was last night, Post Malone actually went through with a concert, and even though they were told not to.
Yes.
Right, and people were kind of upset about that.
Yeah, he still was the sold-out crowd of 18,000 people in Denver. He didn't care the other night. It's not only it makes sense. It's bigger than sports and stuff, but it's the fact that the uncertainty. So we can go through it. It can't just be baseballs. For NBA example, you're going to push back the season. Are they going to go straight back into the regular season? Are they going to go straight to playoffs? Because their playoffs in June.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have, of course, the Olympics. Who knows what's going on with that? We'll find out in May.
Yep.
Then after that, they have, of course, their off season. Well, if you go straight back to the regular season, you're talking about the season not ending to July, August with playoffs. And their season starts kicking back up in October. So a shorter off season. That's what's the same thing with hockey. They're about to go to playoffs. They got to think about that. than baseball. So what they need to ultimately do is baseball needs to start thinking now.
Mm-hmm.
And if go ahead and let's say cancel the whole month of April, you go into May, you have to rework your schedule. Are you going to make less games this season? Or are you going to try to fit all these games, which means we're going to have a full month of baseball in November. So then when you think about it is, what about the elements? Then they're going to start to think about playing playoff games in arenas that have coverage, which might be the home stadium of the playoff teams.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of thing people got to start thinking. They got to start thinking about now instead of in the future.
Right. So since the MLB has pretty much put everything on a hold, I believe they gave players an option to either stay, go home. They can do what they like since they can't hold them because of the shutdown. And, you know, I don't know what most players are doing. I know it's a weird situation. I heard Jeff McNeil of the Mets was even saying he's like going to be a professional Monopoly player because he doesn't know what to do with himself.
It really not, because biggest thing is like baseball players, there's a routine, and now we're going to be not doing much. Like, are they still going to go to the stadium and work out? They got to figure their own thing to work out because spring training is to ramp up to get ready for the season. Now you're on hold for possibly a month and a half.
And you don't know when the season will start. So how are you going to get in your element when you don't have an idea of the time frame to get to where you need to be?
Ultimately, I think everyone needs to go home to where their home teams are, to possibly in a week or so to start figuring out, like, they might have to start having simulated games, like having some of your AAA players up there to have enough players to play simulated games. That's something they got to look into.
Well, yeah, and another thing for players who are sticking around, at least in Arizona, I know that Trevor Bauer is trying to put together a Sandlot game with major league players and minor league players are still at camp.
Yeah.
So that would be great.
Yeah, apparently he wants everyone mic'd up. He wants to be on social media. It's probably most likely his or something, where this is just a fun game, like, because they all love the game of baseball, which we need that right now. Sports people need that, like, that fun, and it shows you, like, the kid style, like, it's just the love of the game. Like, they all, like, this is their life, and now they're stuck in this weird predicament, like, what do we do now? Because they've been in baseball mode for the last month or so, and now it's like, what do we do?
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, they're ready to play. So if they can get the itch, get it taken care of, and go out there and play, have some fun, play a little Sandlot ball, I think that'd be great for the fans and everyone at this time of, you know, what's going on with those sports.
It definitely needs to figure out something, like, because, like, ESPN is just going to start showing nothing but old games and stuff here soon once they run out of talking points.
Right, and I even seen people on social media were saying, well, there's no sports on. What am I doing now? I'm watching 2016 Game 7 or something, World Series game. They're like you said, they're watching the old games.
Like your MLB Network will most likely start doing that a lot.
Right.
Same thing with NBA Network. NHL Network's going to go to games, or we're going to count down, the best, like, World Series games or best finals games. Like, they're going to have to start coming up with stuff like that because
there's nothing for them to talk about. Like, there's no new news coming out for them to be on air.
Yeah.
And I know that affects our podcast as they're sports based, but rest assured, we're going to try our best to keep putting out content.
Yeah, we got to do something just something about sports. We can figure stuff out.
Sports related. It might not be about the news because there might not be much news that week, but we're going to try to get you guys some kind of content to follow along with.
About the only news, it will be either, like, trades are going to be happening maybe. Like, this is a great benefit for
injured players
and unsigned players.
Yeah.
Like Puig, now there's interest apparently in Miami and the Giants with him. Like, is there going to be a spot for him now?
Okay.
So, and then injuries, I talked to Alan earlier, benefits the New York Yankees.
It sure does.
With, Stanton 6 to 8 weeks. Judge can figure out, like, look, if you want to have surgery, this might be the best time because we might not be playing for 6 weeks.
Take that gamble.
And then now James Paxton's not going to miss maybe 5 to 10 starts. He only might miss a few starts,
right,
if season starts in May.
Absolutely.
Like, this is going to change baseball altogether. And then it helps the Mets out with Michael Conforto. With his 6 to 8 weeks, he might not miss much time now.
So this might benefit some of the players that are injured. But my thing is, now that the MLB is on hiatus, some players might not get paid.
Yes, that's the biggest thing, especially your rookies, which don't make much. Their minimums, like, of course, like, some of your bigger rookies have the signing bonus. So they still have some money, but it's got to be something because you get game checks.
Right.
So some of the players who don't.
Right, exactly. So some of the guys who have big contracts, it's fine. They got money to live off of. But all these guys that are stuck in the minor league system, the minor league's pushing back as well. They're not getting paid, and they don't get paid great to start with. So you can't live off your bonus, especially some guys who don't have a bonus.
Exactly. Like, what they're going to do with these minor leaguers? Are they going to, like, most likely, like, the team's got to ultimately do something. Like, most likely minor leaguers, I feel like, are going to stay in, like, Florida and Arizona. And, like, maybe the team's going to have to pay for...
You're going to pick up a job at the grocery store? I mean,
yeah, I don't
man.
know. Like, the team's going to have to pay for the rent or something because of this hiatus. I don't know. This is a very weird situation.
Yeah, so the more we hear about it, obviously we're going to let you guys know because we're going to have something to talk about. We'll see what the players are doing with their days off. Who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah, because like we said, like most players I feel like are going to start going home with this week because there's nothing really much to do in Florida unless you're going to be enjoying the weather instead of going to New York or Minnesota. But
yeah,
you want to get your home set up, make sure everything's ready. So
what's funny is we talked about how they cancel all these big events. So the NCAA has been canceled, and I saw something going around on social media where they actually put together a bracket of states that are not sick. So it's like a
yeah.
It's like a playoff bracket, and they got West Virginia in there and Alaska because there's no cases there, and a couple other states.
And Alabama.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a friend who works in Alabama. He transfers stores and stuff for Dave & Buster's, and everything's around him has a case except for Alabama, right there in the South.
Right.
And then your other course is Alaska, then like North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, which like no one really travels to affect this. But it's insane what's going on around the world.
Yeah.
But I liked what ESPN said I was listening to the other day with Mike and Golick in the morning. It was if you follow what China did with their basketball team, they ultimately went on hiatus for almost 9 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
They're starting to ramp up now. So if we're looking at possibly the same thing, we're talking about maybe a month to 2 months.
Yeah, and
of waiting for it to calm down and then finally start getting back in motions and then start playing.
And I've been following Jeremy Lin. He's playing in China right now as well, and he's been working out still. He's been trying to keep up good hopes and spirits. But I'm glad to hear that they're thinking about starting back up.
Yeah, so if you do that, you're talking sometime May. Like we said, like New York banned all large gatherings till May.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm saying. They probably need to go and think of pushing the season back to the first week of May.
That'd be crazy, though, man, because you think about it, All-Star games usually in July. You're not starting the season until May. We're talking about, are we going to see Christmas, baseball on Christmas? What's going on? Are we going to extend the dates out?
Literally May 1st is a Friday.
Right.
So if you start then, so ultimately, if we let's pull up Mets schedule, for example, how many games will be postponed? Let's see, totally. It's like, they got to figure out where, if they still want to play everyone's teams, at least one, especially like in their league, like National League, they're going to have to limit them to possibly where it might be just at this place, at this one home, or you're going to be away against this team. Because I don't think there's no possible way to play playoffs in November, especially some of these
Well, yeah, if they maybe get a site where there's a dome or something, it might just be, hey, this is gonna be where we're gonna play the playoff games.
Like the one thing that people are hearing is Miami, where the World Series might be played because of how late.
Or
it might be.
who's got a new stadium? Texas.
Maybe we play Texas just
there,
tried it where they just opened it for the first time. Yeah, it's gonna be very, very interesting what these leagues do.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, with speaking of Mets and Mets news, Donovan Mitchell was the one of the second player on the Jazz team who got tested positive for coronavirus. His dad, Donovan Mitchell Sr., works for the Mets organization, and I believe he tested positive as well.
No,
he didn't. He tested negative.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's great. I'm just thinking, like, all these athletes coming out testing positive. I don't know if this is going to prolong it even more now that the players actually have it.
Yeah, that's like certain players, especially in Europe. That's why they're starting to shut down everything. Like one player tested, and
yeah,
it's
even Tom Hanks got it.
Yeah,
and he's in Australia. He's shooting a movie, I think. But
yeah, him and his wife got it. It's just a very, very weird situation. Just all around the world, like not even about sports, is just what people are going to do. Like here in Virginia, schools canceled.
Schools
are
closed for at least 2 weeks. I know other places are probably longer. And like I said, the colleges over here, they extended the spring break a whole next extra week. and then they're going to have virtual classes until further notice.
All right, let's see. That's 5 in March. So let's see. If we do the whole month of April, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31 games.
31 games.
Before May 1st for the Mets.
Wow.
And this is where I think it's going to have to come down to, because if you look at their schedule, majority of them is division games. So do you take away more division games, or do you leave the division games alone and start taking out other conferences?
So if you're missing basically about a fifth of the season, and if you don't extend it out and you still want to stay on track, I think that you play more division games, because that way you can say the best of the division will make it to the playoffs, and you know who's the best because you're playing each other.
Yeah. So like, for example, like you probably wouldn't reschedule both the Brewers, because we play Brewers both like Mets do in the same month. So one either is going to be at New York or it's going to be at Brewers.
Right.
They're going to have to play
and
with
since
that.
Since you're playing in division, you're more likely you already have routes and places to stay and things. You're more familiar with the travel to your teams that you're in your division, other than going to the Brewers as a Mets team.
And then ultimately what they can maybe look into even more, like there's no interleague play this year.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's
if you have to cut corners.
There's like 31 games.
I mean, as a fan, I don't want to see that, because I want to see the Angels play the Orioles this year at the Orioles field. But, if you have to do those kind of things, then I get it. But, I mean, we're only speculating right now. We really don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah, no one knows. Like, the owners are going to have to decide something, like, real soon, if anything, because, man, like, you got to think about if you start moving games, you got to play the schedule, then rebates. All these people have already bought tickets, and then you got to think about your season ticket holders who already paid a certain amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be credit for next season. It's just a weird situation altogether, because technically, what is it? Next Thursday would have been opening day.
Wow, that's crazy to think, man.
Because I started thinking about where I was going to go watch the game at, if I was going to go to work and then go straight to somewhere.
And another thing that we didn't even think about, because like you said, it's on a grander scale. It's affecting everything. I know that my son had his first practice this week. We actually got to make it out, and everybody was having a great time. He was trying to learn how to play catch. But the league is assessing on Monday whether or not, or what they're going to do. So they're talking to other leagues, local pony ball leagues around here and rec ball, and seeing what they're going to do. So there could be a real chance that even local sports are going to get this, canceled as well.
Yeah, like high school, like basketball here in Virginia
they
was
had a
down to their
co-champion.
Yeah, it was down to the championship game, and then they had to stop it and just make them co-champions.
That's crazy.
And then it's like, then you got to ask, like, is like high school baseball and stuff going to have an opportunity
to play? Absolutely, that's a big deal.
So let's see. So the last game of the season right now for the Mets is September 27th. So depending on, you're adding 31 games, then you make it to October 27th. And then you're talking about playoffs all of November if you just push the season forward.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I know what they could do is, if they do play out of division teams, they could play doubleheaders those games to make up some ground. But
see, then if they do that, they're gonna, then MLB needs to make a option for this year where you can carry more players on your roster.
They might, because you're going to need more players. Yeah, exactly.
Especially pitchers, like you're going to have to push up that limit pitchers do all these double headers. But then here's my thing: if you do push it forward, like a month, then the same thing with NBA and their off seasons are now shortened.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of you getting so many months to recover your body, you're losing a month. That's where it's going to be play that option where, like, what's going to happen.
All right. Yeah. I mean, like I said, we're just speculating right now. As soon as we hear any information, I'm sure we're going to let you guys know.
Yeah.
Did you have any other news in the MLB that we didn't touch base on?
Not really. Like, probably a lot of the teams are speculating their roster now. So, like, they're looking at where can we upgrade. Now, injuries are not as a big option, like a concern, like we said, for the Yankees and Mets and certain other players. Like, okay, they're going to miss maybe start, and then like Verlander.
Mm-hmm.
That worked out for him now with the Astros.
Yeah.
So now it's more like, okay, when we ramp up, what's our team going to look like? Who can we get better? Because,
So the only bigger benefit would be is that they have more time to analyze. They've already seen people in spring training. They have an idea what they need, and now they have more time to go get it.
Yeah.
I completely agree. The only other bit of news that I saw was with the Orioles. I know last week we told everybody that Trey Mancini underwent or was in some kind of he had some kind of illness that wasn't baseball related.
Baseball, and it finally came out this week exactly what happened.
Yeah, it looks like he underwent surgery to remove a tumor from his colon.
Yeah.
So we hope he has a speedy recovery and hope we get to see him this year.
Yeah, and I'm very curious, like, being him so young, why he had a colonoscopy. If that's a regular test for baseball players, I don't know, but usually you don't worry about till you're older. So maybe maybe it was something with him so sick. Maybe they did like a blood test and saw maybe something cancer cells, and then they started searching and found that's where they found it. Because they said he had flu-like symptoms for a week and stuff like that, and then because being him so young, you really don't do the colonoscopy that early to figure out like, oh wow, there's cancer in here.
Right.
So,
well, I hope we get to see Trey this year because, like I said, he's been on a tear.
Here's another thing, like I said, now he has possibly a month to recuperate from that,
right.
and then he might not miss no time now.
I don't know what kind of time is normally missed in this situation.
No timetable,
right?
So.
We still don't know, but we're thinking about you, bud.
Yeah. So like we said, we're gonna figure out stuff. The most interesting thing, which we're gonna talk about next episode. So with this week. We talk a little about it. The MLB show finally came out for PlayStation.
Yeah, and everybody's been plunking.
That was like the
Astros
first
players.
thing everyone did.
Alan showed me a video where somebody's playing the show and they're throwing up.
Yeah, Clayton Kershaw was pitching and threw it to Altuve, hit him, and the ump
hit him right in the
clapping.
head. And the ump started clapping. It was funny. I mean,
it's hilarious to go on. But yeah, so what ESPN did, I guess, because they're bored with no sports to cover, is they simulated the next decade with the MLB show with baseball.
Yep, they simulated all the seasons up to 2030.
Yeah.
And they tell us who's going to be MVP, who's going to win, what kind of things are happening, who's retiring. So this week, since we don't have much sports news, I guess me and Alan are going to try to dissect this and give you guys a fun show to watch.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And then there's other stuff we're going to talk about, like MLB just released their top 10 farm systems. We can completely break that down if this is going to be where we break down 5 teams per week. We're going to figure out something to keep talking about.
And if anybody has any ideas of what you'd like to hear us talk about now that we're in kind of a hiatus with the sports being played, let us know, and we might take it into consideration.
Yeah. So we'll catch y'all next time, and y'all stay safe out there. All right, guys. Thank you for checking out this episode. Please share us if you enjoyed this content. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at AA Sports Podcast. Catch y'all next week. Peace.
For the record, I'm done trying to make y'all comfortable. That's right. For the record, you ain't trying to grow, then it's done for you. That's right. For the record, lab on me going all the way. All the way. For the record, ain't trying to link, no time to waste. Stop. For the record. Too nice for y'all. Now I gotta up price for y'all. Snake eyes on dice for y'all. Shoulders on ice for y'all. A6 all the hate. I won't get a guard today. Got lost in the ball and A's. I'm flipping the bars. I'm flipping the on record, off record. I still count wins when they got it on.